Alright, so I blacked out the white part of my exterior Maxxair fan so that when it was up I didn't have like a black and white fan thing going on, since I have a lot of black and red going on with the van. So what I do is when it comes in the box, remove the cover. You got 2 screws here at this end. You're going to have 5 screws at the other end. Just remove them, tape off the control portion, turn it upside down. I'll be able to spray all this because this is the part you would see. And then this mounting flange, I went ahead and got it all set up, so now I'm going to start spraying. Alright, so here's what I did. I drilled a hole from underneath this hole right here, and it doesn't matter if it's center or not. Really that was just to give me this forward point this direction. That way I know I got 14 inches back to here. You're going to want a frame and square. And what I did was I then centered it in here, found the center of that point, which I think this was about 5 inches. So I went to 2.5 to give it a center. And then from there you just go 7 inches that way and 7 inches the other way. So I used a frame and square and dropped it in like so. You can see that mark is on 7 inches. And then I went to 14 over here and I made a mark. So I traced that line to make that part of the square. And then flipped the frame and square around the other way. And did the same thing. I put the 14 on here. I put the 14 on here. And so that gives me my line. Next I'm going to take this tape. I'm going to run 2, well maybe at least 1 if not 2. Around the outside perimeter, so my tape will work as my guide for the line, because it's hard to see the line when you're cutting. It's much easier to see tape. So I'm going to tape out the perimeter, and then I'm going to drill 4 holes, 1 here and 1 here and the other 2 corners with this, and then I'll take a jigsaw and I'll just connect the dots. And that's all you got to do. Sorry for the wind noise if there is any, but you can see there I've made the 4 holes. I got this taped off. The reason for the tape is when I cut it with a jigsaw, I don't want to scratch the paint, which is then going to cause rust later down the road. So I'm going to cut this out now. Alright, so there you go. I got a hole. As you see, I got the foam and my glue on, because I do still have my temporary sealing in. But that'll change. I want to get this last fan cut in, and then I'll take this luan down and run the tongue and groove sealing that I want to run, and then I'll be able to put the trim pieces on and they'll be done. Alright, so this roll of tape, this is called butyl tape. This is what you want to use, not caulk. Now where the roof is a little lower here, you're going to want to put extra layers. So for the tape I have, I think this is either 3/4 or 1 inch. Really doesn't really matter that much, but I'm going to lay 1 layer in here. You can see it gets it almost flat. What I ended up doing over here was putting a second one in up on top. So this is actually 3 layers of the butyl tape, where it's 1 everywhere else. And this stuff never dries out. That's the great thing about it. It stays tacky. It works for sealing things as long as it's in compression. That's the whole trick. And it will be in compression, because we're going to put all these screws in. That's going to compress it down on top of the tape, and that's going to squeeze this in between the metal and the flange, and it will never leak. It's very gooey. If you look at it, it's kind of like gum, I guess, in a way. Some sticky gum. And like I said, it'll never dry, so it'll seal and stay sealed. You can see it on the other one back there. I did the same thing. You just got to double up this layer, or triple, depending on how thick the butyl tape is that you buy. You want to just basically try and get that flat. So that's where I'm at now. Once this is done, I'm going to screw the thing down, the flange. Alright, so the last step is drop this down on top of the flange. You're going to have 2 of these screws that go in, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. Use a nail punch like this you can jam it in the hole and basically center up the metal piece on the inside. That's how I got it lined up so I could run the screws through. I'm not a huge fan of these screws because they don't lock in any way. They're just a coarse thread lag type screw, and it goes into a metal plate. So I'm very nervous when these things are up in the air when I'm driving, because I've seen a couple of them blown off on 95. So I know these screws can rattle out and fall off. So I'm going to take silicone and wrap it around this screw here, so basically so they can't jiggle free. I did that on the other fan back there, same thing. But definitely seal these so they can't turn on their own. You'll want to do that. I also didn't use the screws that came with it. Personally, I don't think they bite very well into the metal. These are a self-tapping screw that I bought at Home Depot, Lowe's. I used that instead of the screws that came with the fan. You can give it a shot, pre-drill them before you put the butyl tape down, but I prefer using the self-tapping ones. I think it's a lot easier and a lot less trouble. That's about it. I'm gonna peel this plastic off and we'll be done. And now I'll have 2 fans. Next will be wiring. So I made a crude drawing of a van. See, I got windows here because we got airflow that can come in this way. And then I got the fan I just added, which is over my head. And then the fan that I have in the back that was here before. This one goes forward and reverse. Does both. And this one's just forward, so it blows out. And only out. So here's the plan. I can just have this open for passive venting, windows open for passive, and I could have this venting out, and it'll pull air through and pull air from the window. But if I want, say it's really warm, I sleep here under this fan, I'm going to make this fan blow inward, which then this one's going to be blowing out. So now we're going to have air pulling in, and it's going to circulate and go out that way, and then this air is going to come in and circulate and go out that way. So that's why I didn't do a reversing one here, because this one really will pull everything out if I have to. And if I really wanted to, I could run both of them venting outward, and that would also help too. But for the most part, I wanted to be able to circulate the air out through the middle of the van, pull air in this way, blow it down on me, and then have that cooler air then blown back out, or the warmer air that's still in the van blown back out. So that's the plan at the moment. Obviously, I could have this one closed. I could just open the window and then have this van blowing out if I just need a little bit of coolness. But if it's hot, which I've stayed in the van and it's too hot, it's nice to have this one be able to blow in, and then this will be able to pull the hot air out of the van. And that should cool the van off pretty quick. Anyway, that's why I did the 2 fans. So I still haven't wired this one yet, and I still haven't replaced the ceiling, but that's next. Now that I got the fans in place, I'm gonna go ahead and wire this one so I can use it this week. And you can see the bed is up out of bed mode. This is storage mode where I can put plywood and stuff in here. So let me go ahead and wire this fan so I can clean up my mess and be done with things. I found YouTube helpful for everything I've done, and so I'm just trying to pass on what I've learned or some of the things that I know, and hopefully it helps somebody else. Have a good day. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something from watching the video.